I am back for a season 2 review. There are spoilers in this, so if you really haven't watched the season, then I guess you're going to find out the highlights. But yeah, let's get into it. So the $44 million house is back. It is now finished and looking like somewhere you could actually live. We quickly find out though that Christine is engaged. There's a little bit of drama about how Christine and her fiance Christian actually got together. You know, was he already seeing somebody else? Did she kind of snatch him? It's all very cheeky. And we officially discover that Heather is vegan. You know, she's vegan. She's definitely vegan. That was not her you saw eating a McRib. Heather is vegan, okay? But Christine does come back into the office. So, you know, like I say, the regulars back in the office. Christine comes back into the office from her Around the World in 80 Days tour with her new fiance. So they get all that juice, all that news. The ring is shown. She's all excited. She's still a giant knob. I mean, I thought travel was supposed to be a mind-expanding experience, but no. The girl's still her usual drama.
You know, when is Christine appropriate? I don't know.
She's still her usual drama. I mean, she was just doing her usual knobby things. You know, Chriselle's dad sort of passed away from lung cancer and Christine didn't handle it very well. I think she sent flowers and then was upset that Chriselle wasn't getting back to her quickly enough to let her know that she appreciated the gift. Obviously, she's going through this really difficult time. The last thing on her mind is her random bitchy co-worker. But all in all, you know, yeah, not great. And then there's also the party that she decided to throw and not invite Chriselle, but she did choose to have a drink at this party called the Chriselle Two-Faced Tonic. But I definitely think we can also create the Christine Delusional Martini. Girl. But whatevs. We get to meet Amanda. But yeah, Amanda's the new girl.
Oh, are you okay?
She's stuck in the thingy.
Oh my god.
You're kidding. Did you really stuck?
Leave it to Amanda.
Oh my god. It was like one of my first meetings to meet another agent, like outside of the Oppenheimer room, and almost bite it. Like right in front of this bougie big time agent.
She
Oh
got
my
her
God.
heels stuck in the deck at Beverly Glen.
God, be a center of attention, don't you?
I'm the graceful one, Amanda.
Sean Elliott,
Nice to
Seekers.
see
How
you.
are you, bud?
Yeah, so that's Amanda, who's, you know, pretty cool lady. Heather is now a stepmom, which, going by how she was holding Aiden in episode 1, is just hilarious because she just seemed to give zero fucks that she was holding a baby. Tell us a bit more about this new guy you're seeing, Heather. You only like name dropped him about 1,700 times. Big news as well is like Romain really woke up this season. Last season in my review I compared him to somebody who seemed to be on like Zoloft or something, or just like he had dead seal energy I think is what I called it. And this season that seal woke the fuck up. In fact, the seal woke up so much it banned Davina from its wedding. I think there's a very, you know, quite harsh comment that Davina made last season about the ring that he gave his fiance. Yes, Romain has balls. He has, I wouldn't call it balls. He has a pulse is what I'm trying to say. And I'm so glad we found it because it made for some moments this season. And then Davina's $75 million listing. I mean, I don't think that house is going to sell. I don't think anybody thinks that house is going to sell for 75 million. I think she's going to do her best, but I predict maybe it will sell for like 49 million, maybe, if they're lucky. 39 million if they're not so lucky. But what that house did give us is we got to meet Adnan, who is the scariest homeowner in history. Like, This guy with his ex-KGB, Swedish, Arab, gangster look that he has going on. I literally thought he was going to break Davina's legs when she tried to suggest 60 as the listing price. He was just like, 60 is out of, I think his exact words, 60 is out of the question, which was kind of like, oh, just terrifying. So I do think you should get a spin-off series. My working title is Adnan the Younger Years, and it's basically just a camera following him in his fundamental coming of age years in Albania or Afghanistan, and it's just him chopping people up to sell their parts on the black market and recruiting people for God knows what. But that guy is terrifying. So the 75 million house, it is actually a gorgeous house, and Christine herself really sold it for me. I'm sorry, Davina, I wasn't really listening when you were talking about it, but when Christine started talking about it, I did realize like, oh, it's a beautiful house and it's really well made and they put so much effort into the details. So who knows, maybe somebody will meet him halfway, if that's acceptable for Adnan, and maybe buy it for like 59 million. I don't know. I don't want to upset Adnan, so whatever price he wants to accept is what it will sell for. Christine decides to throw an engagement party, obviously, to celebrate her. Sorry, an engagement celebration, as she calls it, to celebrate her and Christian getting together and becoming fiancés. For me, I just really want to shout out to Lisa, the party planner, the epic party planner, who I feel like you could tell her that you want a party on Mars and she'd be like, okay. So she's like, okay. So yeah, shout out to Lisa, the party planner of party planners. I now officially understand that there is like two types of casual in the world. There's like super casual, which is kind of like this. And then there's Christine casual, which is kind of like this. If you're inviting me to something, please make it clear, is this super casual or is this Christine casual? Because there's like a difference in like 500,000 grand in what we're aspiring to. Rochelle decided not to go to the engagement party, which I thought was a very strong decision. So, and like all that extra shade she was throwing about like, I can't come to a party and hang out with a couple I've never hung out with before because you're not on Justin Hartley level, bitch. Heather and Amanda, this was one of the big fights this season. Round one kicked off with Amanda, I can't even get over it. Amanda kind of insulting Heather in that, she was trying to offer advice as a mother of two children, co-parenting with her ex. She was saying to Heather, who was in a new relationship, she's already sort of claiming these kids kind of like her own and sort of setting herself up as their stepmother. And Heather took umbrage at this and sort of felt like, how dare you bring this negative idea into this lovely space that I'm living in at the moment. So that kind of put the two of them at odds, and Heather just was not impressed with Amanda. I think.
Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate that.
Well, you don't, or else we wouldn't have had this.
No, I actually don't, but thank you anyway.
Well, then don't say you do.
And then fast forward to sort of episode 6, where we get Amanda sort of tries to make amends. Amanda says to Heather that she'll cover a viewing, but Amanda ends up being late. And the person who she is showing the house to, named Colin, is, he's not too happy about it, but he kind of goes with it. But he ends up calling Heather to kind of sort of say like, hey, what happened to you? And also Amanda, during the course of taking Colin around the house, she does mention that the reason why Heather couldn't be there was because of a party. So yes, it puts Heather in a slightly poor light. So during the call, he mentions firstly that Amanda was late. So already Heather's like, what the hell? And then he also mentions that, oh, I heard you were at a party. Like that's the reason why you couldn't make this viewing. It's like, do you want the 1 million commission or you don't? So Heather's really like, what? Like, why did this girl mention that I was gonna be at a party? Like, what is going on? So that makes it round 2 of Heather versus Amanda. Like, now we're into the new place, where, you know, Amanda was trying to like come back on side and it's just blown up even more. So this is the feud that will not die. Can we just take a moment as well? Like, I really need a moment just to worship the moment that is Christine in having her Black Swan moment. She basically shoots a dead bird before she decides to go over to one of the Oppenheim groups, like regular evening dinner, get together, catch up, bitch session, attack somebody and complain about whatever it is they need to complain about, or talk about how Davina's never going to sell that $75 million house. But anyway.
Don't mind if I do.
Like, this happens. This is what happens on Selling Sunset. This is what people decide is perfectly normal, like a Thursday evening dinner dress attire. This sort of things happens. I definitely feel like she is that. Can you imagine if this was like your mother and she showed up for like a parents' meeting or something, just to kind of talk about how 7-year-old Timmy was doing in school in like 6-inch red stilettos or something. I definitely feel that's her future. I think this also happened at the dinner party, which I thought was very, very, very funny, which is that Maya's pregnant again. That's not the funny part. This is the funny part.
Did you have a baby like 6 hours ago?
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Mic drop. Like, just our thoughts exactly. Like, I really feel like it was 2 seconds ago that you popped out a child, but I guess once you start, you can't stop. I think she believes in some people have that strategy of like, just get them out of the way. Just have like 3 in a row, just real quick, just like bang those kids out while you can in as quick succession as possible, because that spaced out child thing can also be very insane. Like, you have a kid and then like 7 years later you have another one, and then like 4 years after that you have another one. It's the quick succession thing is also a thing, I think, in people's kid having strategy. Yes. Davina is definitely not invited to the wedding, but she does get to go to the bachelorette party. So the big kind of end of season fight that we've come to know and love, the big thing that like just creates a whole firestorm of shit is that Mary had another bachelorette party. So she had the bachelorette party that she invited everybody to from in the office, and then she had a second bachelorette party. So Davina, Heather, Christine and Maya were not invited to the second bachelorette party, and this causes a lot of drama. You know, they all want to talk about it, and they decided they want to talk about it at Heather's Brokers Open. So Heather's having like an open house, and this is the time they decide to bring up the office drama. For somebody who's, well, actually Heather is sort of tries to be like, guys, can you not do this at my open house? Like, this is exactly the sort of thing I'm trying to kill off, and yet here we go again, people screaming at each other with potential buyers and estate agents walking around, but whatevs. And then I think even Christine understands that she went too far. So Christine then shows up to Mary's dress fitting. Mary looks very unimpressed throughout the whole sort of apology that Christine decides to give her. She does eventually come around and is like, okay, I guess you're right, like, it's okay. And yeah, the season ends with Mary's wedding, and it's such a lovely wedding, and it's, you know, full of love, full of light, full of people trying to speak French. No, Mary says her vows in French, and it's really a heartfelt and beautiful moment, and everybody gets really misty-eyed over it, and rightly so. She also has this female officiator, Nicole, which was very cool, very nice touch. So they really put their own stamp on the wedding, and it was definitely a Romaine Mary wedding and not just some random wedding in the Hollywood Hills. Amanda's hair at the wedding.
You're making a choice. Yeah.
They got the dogs to bring up the rings as the ring bearers. So again, really nice touch, really nice way to include them. And yeah, overall, it was just a lovely kind of chic country back garden style wedding. And it really felt like a family and friends event. And I think they really did themselves justice. And it was, you know, really nice that they shared it with Selling Sunset viewers, as we got to see a really, what's the word? I just want to say beautiful because I basically don't have any other adjectives. But yes, it was just like a lovely wedding. It was just really lovely to watch, and everybody looked peng. So like, congrats for your beautiful wedding. But in true Sunset style, people decided to start having awkward, unnecessary conversations that they could have saved for the office at the wedding, and just sort of ignited the whole, we weren't invited to the bachelorette party, what the hell, and this like goes against friendship and respect and loyalty and the code. And so the girls decided to sort of have, and they're like, we're not arguing, we're not being controversial, but it was like, you kind of are, and you're kind of doing it at this, you know, this supposed dear friend and co-worker's wedding. But, well, you know, that's just a typical Sunset thing that people do. They just hash out things that they should save for another time at people's intimate family style gathering. And then we're left with a season 3 sort of trailer teaser showing us what's going to be coming up in season 3. And really just the things I took from the trailer, the things we're going to need to talk about in the next review, is that the $44 million house gets sold. Way, the $75 million house doesn't. But Adnan does show up again, just to sort of give us food for not sleeping. But obviously, oh yes, Christine's wedding. The nightmare that, is it the nightmare that Christmas forgot? But it's like the nightmare that about that kind of vibe that she captures really well. And obviously it looks amazing because it's Christine casual, it's a Christine wedding, not a normal wedding. So it's very out of this world. And then, yeah, the big horrible news that happens in season 3, which most of us have heard of, even if we don't follow the show, is Justin Hartley, that guy that we were like, oh my God, he seems the best. You know, he decides to file for divorce and sort of lets her know by text, which I hope is not the new way that people are going about divorcing people. So season 3 is all about finding out what happened there and how Chrishell copes with it and how her co-workers respond to this news. But I hope that you got something from my season 2 review. Please comment, please subscribe, please leave me likes and dislikes, and just let me know what you thought of season 2, what you were watching, what you found interesting, any hot outfits you remember, because I'm all about the outfits, so that's what I remember. But also, what kind of relationship drama do you remember? You know, like Davina hadn't really yet showing her horns this season, even though we know she does have them little ones with that moissanite comment. But like season 3, I think they come out full force. And then, you know, Christine, like I said, still being a giant knob, but that's Christine. And then Heather, just, no, you can't hold my baby. Amanda, just a whole thing. Amanda's a whole mood. Jason and Brett were kind of around. I mean, him and Heather probably need to get a room or something. And who else? Who else was in the show this season? Who else? Maya, obviously, just high on that post-baby and new baby glow, and not being able to drink, I think, was her main concern this season. That I think we heard that a lot. Who else is in that office? I forget. I'm missing somebody. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Well, I think I've covered them all. I think so. So Remain woke up this season and even got married. That's how awake he was. And please watch my season 1 review and season 3 review when I put it up. And all the best. Keep watching. Thank you. Bye. Christine's nail girl does Ariana Grande. That's the only thing you need to remember from season 2. Just remember that, and that pretty much sums up that whole universe.